Okay. So whoever is sitting in the back, my view of life is the people in the front have more fun. The back is only if you want to not pay attention and pass notes. But you don't look like a note passer type, so if you want to, now's a good time to move closer up and we can share some time together. This is a huge podium. That's not going anywhere. Okay. Alrighty, we are ready to begin. Let's breathe. It's been a great morning, right, guys? Yeah? A lot of happy faces. And when I point the microphone at you, just tell me your mood. What state are you in right now? Say it loud. Loud, loud, loud.
Excited.
Excited, happy.
Happy.
What else? Just shout it out.
Curious.
Louder. Inspired, content, evolved. Highly inspired. So, if you could get one thing out of this talk that you chose to come to, what would it be? Inspiration. Can't give you that. Okay. Knowledge and inspiration, tools for transformation. Okay, you heard it, Hashem. Make it happen. Thank you very much. All right. Where's my sister-in-law, Chev? There she is. Welcome to Neshama, my daughter. Raise your hand. And my niece, Sahara, and my niece, Tehila. Today, we're going to be talking about family, my family. And I got permission before I said this. Actually, I told my sister who this is about that I'm going to be opening up my talk, talking about her, because my sister is hilarious. She is hilarious, and she's frank, and she's an amazing mother. She's an amazing wife. And she hurts me all the time. I have gotten hurt by my sister more times than I can count. And I said to her, I said, hey, listen, is it okay if I share this on stage? Because, my audience is going to hate you for like 5 minutes. And she said, anything to further your career. She said, you could use my body if you want. I'll be your before picture. And the crazy part is that that's the exact line that would have hurt me. I would have said, I'm calling to say in a very sensitive, considerate way, can I talk about our journey? And you're thinking like I want to further my career. I don't even have a career. Like, don't say I have a career and I'm trying to further my career. Oh, my goodness. Then I would have hung up my phone and told my husband, I'm just different than everyone in my family. That's what would have happened. So today, we're going to talk about my sister. Yes, yes. And we're going to talk about the letter T. In our last conversation, we spoke about the letter P. If you remember that, I'll be very happy. Power, presence, and process. Today we're going to talk about a tool for the truth that will bring you to trust. And in order to get there, I got to tell you more about my sister. So there I was on my healing journey. If you were with me earlier today, I've really been working on myself. And so I made this healing retreat for women. And as I was planning this, in my very codependent ways, I said, I'm planning a retreat. I have to invite every female in my family that ever existed, young or old. Everyone's invited, and that's half the women at my retreat. And so my sister came, this very sister, and my other sister, and my mother. It was like a family reunion, forget a retreat. It was my first one. And Baruch Hashem, we've did 8 or 9 since then, more. And I stood up at the retreat right at the beginning, and I said, listen, folks, I'm the weirdo in my family, and I'm doing some healing here also because I invited my sisters to my weird land of like healing and feelings and all this stuff, and we're going to see how that goes for me and for them. It actually went amazing. My sister went home and told my other sister, it's not all fluffy what Rivka Malka does. It's not all fluffy. That was great feedback. And then a little while passed, and I had another retreat, and my sister surprised me. She said, I want to come. That retreat was so amazing. I don't really know what happened there, but it really changed me. I can't stop talking about it. My kids are making fun of me, and I want to come. So she came, and this time it was just her. So with just me and her, some things came up at the retreat, and I started telling her, like, why do you do that? Like, don't you realize that it hurts me when you call my tichel a shmata? Don't you realize, like, it's my crown. It's my crown. Like, she's like, oh, I never mean it. I never mean it. And I'm like, you call it a shmata. Like, why do you do that? She's like, that's just, no, I love you. Oh, I wish I could wear that. I love how it looks on you. Of course. And I start stirring the pot a little, bringing stuff up, because you can't be in healing work unless you're doing your own work. So I'm there as like marshmallow fluff as everybody else. And on this retreat, we teach these women the tool that I'm about to teach you today. And on the way home, my sister's driving the car. My friend RT is in the front seat, and she's a teacher of this tool. And I'm in the back seat, and we start to have it out. We start to get into the conversation about what is really going on between the two of us. What is this? So we're going to pause here because I know it's very fascinating, me and my sister. Everyone else has like perfect relationships with their sister, and it's so interesting to hear about the one person that doesn't. But that was a joke. You guys really do? You do? Okay. I'm going to show you what we learned on this retreat that changed our relationship, and I'm going to tell you what happened. And this is a tool that is guaranteed to change your life. Okay? And it looks like this. It's always very self-conscious when you got a spell on stage, you forget everything. Back to kindergarten. Okay. All right, there you go. Ready? This is the point of truth. This is what this model is based on. All of life takes place through the lens of your own reality. Our life is made up of the stories that we tell ourselves. So if I step on your toe and it hurts, you may tell yourself a story. She didn't even see me. She doesn't even notice me. I'm inconsequential. Nobody ever notices me. She doesn't even care about me. She didn't even say I'm sorry. I don't even think she likes me very much. And look, now she's off talking to someone else. She doesn't like me at all. And my story, as the toe stepper honor, is going to be maybe, oh, what was that? Was that like, did I step on a towel? What did I just step on? And then it's out of my mind. So your reality is, I'm wounded, and my reality is, I'm in outer space. I don't even notice that I caused any pain. I'm in a totally different planet than you, right? And that's in a circumstance where I did something by accident. Sometimes I'll do something on purpose. But what I experience and what you experience are going to be two totally different things. As a matter of fact, when we did this on the retreat, we did something super scary, which I'm not sure if I regret or not. But my friend who was teaching said, I'll give you an example. Has anyone's here's feelings been hurt on this retreat by Rivka Malka? She actually said that, and she's my friend. She's like, raise your hand. Raise your hand if this happened. Just raise your hand, because you know what happens when you're together for 3 days? 30 women together for 3 days, stuff happens. And so she said, don't worry, she doesn't mind. She could handle it. My mother was in the room. My mother couldn't handle it. I was like, I don't know if I could handle this. So I turned my face around. Do you know how many women raised their hands? I don't. It was a lot of women. because we're learning about what happens in your own reality. So they got up here and they said, when we were doing this project and I asked for your opinion and then you didn't speak to me and then you spoke to someone else, the story that I told myself is you're not even excited that I came. And as we got deeper and deeper into listening to the ways that people were hurt from nobody hurting them, we really started to understand how all of life takes place in our stories. So we learned pies. Pies is a tool. This is a very, very practical class. Our other class was a spiritual class. But we need ways to get to that spirituality, ways. I looked at some of the feedback forms. It says, I want to start my healing journey. You know how you can start it? Right here with this magical, unbelievable tool. Put it in your brains. Teach it to your children. Use it with your spouses. So it goes like this. When there is a time in a relationship that is charged, that is full of conflict, that something doesn't feel right, when we express it to ourselves, as we're understanding what's going on, we break it down. We first say, what are the physical facts? What actually happened? The facts. What happened? You called my tichel hashmata. Not how I felt about it. Not the disgusting way you called my tichel hashmata. What are the facts? What happened? Interpretation. Here's where we take responsibility for the way that we interpret the story and we don't make it the other guy's problem. Okay? So the facts. My husband didn't say good morning to me. Interpretation. When you didn't say good morning to me, the story that I told myself is you're in too much of a hurry for our marriage and our whole marriage is falling apart and you never even notice me anyway and you take me for granted. And that's the story that I tell myself. Okay? Now, if you say it like that, it's kind of attacking, so let's say it a little nicer. Say, when you didn't say good morning, the story that I told myself is that our marriage is falling apart and you don't even notice me anymore. And we're moving too fast, and this whole thing is going down the drain and I don't even count. Emotional, how I feel about this. And here we use only pure feelings. Sad, mad, glad, hurt, and afraid. Because when we use words like disappointed, we get into a story. Disappointed means we had an expectation. So we keep it simple. We just say, I was sad or I was hurt. And S is for spiritual longing. What I really want. Now remember, you can only really want for yourself. You can't control another person. What I really want for myself, says the wife to her husband, what I really want is to be in a conscious marriage. That's what I want. So I'm sitting there with my sister, and we learned this tool. And I start telling her how it feels when she says these things to me. And I'm so shaking in the back seat of the car from the vulnerability and from this pain of the stories that I have made up. Because the stories that I've made up about my sister are unbelievable. She calls my friends weirdos because she calls them weirdos. So I made up a story that she thinks that I'm like unsafe and strange and dangerous and like not even like really religious, some kind of like pseudo-hippie religiousness going on. And this all started, we got into this conversation because she was saying, you know, my children have aunts and I wish that their aunts would be more there for them. And I'm in the back seat and I'm like, me, how come you never send your kids to me? And you know what my story is about that. Remember the pseudo-religious weirdo hippie story? That's my story. I'm like, oh, you can't even send your kids to my house. And I'm crying buckets of tears. You don't want to be in that car with us. It takes a strong woman to hold this together. My friend Archie, she's a strong one. There's nothing more she wants than to bring two people together. So my sister, like a champion, listens to me. She really listens. And I don't blame her for any of it. I don't blame her. I say, like, this is the story I tell myself. And when you get in touch with your story, man, we tell ourselves stories that are brutal. Brutal. You know, sometimes she'll say, like, my crazy house. So I actually made up a brutal story that I have some kind of, like, dangerous, unsafe house that she can't send her children over to. Very, very painful story. And then it was her turn. And she says to me that she has 6 girls, and I have teenage boys. And she really doesn't want to send her teenage girls over to my house with my teenage boys. And that's what that is about. And then she tells me more facts and more interpretations. She says, well, when I call you tichel ashmata, it's a term of endearment. It's like being silly. She says, I'm a really silly person. She said, I know how to be an adult. I'm a teacher. But when I'm with the people that I love, I use these silly words. And it occurred to me later that I call my little girl over there, you know what my biggest compliment to her is? You're crazy. I tell her, you're crazy. You're wacko. You're a spunky wacko. You're a rascal. I use the same language as my sister uses. We just talk like that. When we're really close to people and don't have to stand on stage and look normal, we just say crazy things. And then she said to me, like, if you want, I can stop speaking like that and I can kind of rein it in so that you'll be more comfortable if that's what you want. But I'm so proud of you. I tell all my friends about you. She said to me, I can't do what you do. Like, when I call it weird, I'm just like, whoa, I think it's amazing what you do. And I'm trying to let this in. I'm trying to let this new reality sink in, like, oh, my sister's proud of me? Really? She's proud of me? She's not scared of me? She's proud of me? We went to bed that night. We had a stopover, and it was like my whole world had turned upside down. I spoke in our last class about victimland. Very hard to let go of victimland when you really hear the other person's story or another story, the flip side of it. To let it go, to say, this may just be my story. This may just be my story. So now is the time when I want to ask for my volunteers. Where's my crazy volunteers? Come on up. Come on up. Anyone else want to come up? We can start with one. Yeah, come. Have a seat. Can I sit with you? Okay, awesome. Awesome. So we're amongst friends over here, and we don't know them all by name, but yeah. But I'm going to hand you the mic, okay? Yeah. Oh, he's going to hand you a mic. Even better. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you to share an experience, okay? Yeah. And where I want you to go is, what are the facts of the experience, and what is the story that you've been telling yourself about it? You ready?
Okay.
Can you give us your name?
Jackie.
Can we say hooray for Jackie?
Oh my gosh, now let's think of an experience. Okay. It's my domestic worker. So my domestic worker of late has been very unwell. She's had a deep vein thrombosis and a swelling of her leg. She's been admitted to hospital, and so my life's been a bit upside down.
I hear that.
Okay, so that's the fact. The fact is also I'm a doctor, so I've got quite a lot of insight into her condition. She's diabetic, so she's not a very well woman. I look after her a lot. I've got her on a medical aid. I try not to take responsibility medically, but of course I do as well. But emotionally, we're quite attached. So those are the facts.
Great. And what is the story that you're telling yourself about this? Feel great.
Thanks. So the story is that I feel responsible for her, that she's an adult, but I need to look after her, that I take care of her, that perhaps she's not well enough to work for me, that I'm frustrated and irritable because I like my life to be organized and done, and I rely so much on her to help me with my home and my cooking, etc., while I'm working and I'm busy and I'm doing. So I guess I tell myself I blame her a lot, even though it's not really her fault, and that makes me guilty.
A lot of stories. Yeah. Wow. Let's review. Can we review?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a domestic worker, and she's got a medical condition, and you're a doctor, so you know a lot about it, and you try to help her because you feel like you can. And her work, you didn't use this word, but is her work compromised? Or I didn't hear, is she less available?
It is compromising that she hasn't been there for a lot of time, and
She
this
hasn't
isn't
been
the
there for a
first
lot of
time. This
time.
is not the first time that this has happened. There've been other times. So yeah, so she's not there.
Right.
And then when she has come back, she's not well. So,
Right.
I mean, she pushes herself to do her work perfectly because she's scared that she's going to lose her job
Right.
otherwise, which, of course, I mean, but...
So we're moving away from facts, so let's stick with the facts. So
Yeah.
she pushes herself to work.
Yeah.
And the story that you're telling yourself is she's scared to lose her job, so she keeps showing up.
Yeah,
You're responsible for her.
yeah,
You need more help than she can give you, and it's frustrating. And that's a feeling, but yeah, it goes into the interpretation. And sounds like the story that you're telling yourself is that you're responsible for her, and also that you are stuck because you can't really get the help that you need, and you also don't want to get rid of her.
well,
Yeah.
and legally I can't get rid of her anyway, even though,
Right.
I mean,
legally.
morally one
Got
couldn't.
It. Got it. Got it. Got it. And how do you feel about this? Mad, sad, glad, hurt, afraid?
Angry.
Angry. Angry. I feel angry. Can you say I feel angry?
I feel angry.
I feel angry. And what is your spiritual longing? What do you want?
Order.
Someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Order things to be
Yeah.
just right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Give her a round of applause, guys. What's your mate's name? Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you to be Eunice. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Give me the facts.
The facts are I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling well. I've got lots of chronic conditions, and but I'm desperate for my job. I'm supporting my entire family. My children don't work. I support them and all of their children, and I need this job. And Jackie takes care of me, and I need to be here.
Great. And what's the story that Eunice tells herself about that?
I'm scared. She's going to shout at me. She's not that I ever have until
What's the story?
the story that she says, I'm bae.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I think more fear, or is that an emotion? That
If I don't show up.
if I don't show up, I'm going to lose my job. I better be there, but I'm not feeling well, and I'm not managing, really.
And
But
how do I feel?
I feel scared.
And what's my spiritual longing?
To perhaps support my family and be okay.
Well done. Let's give her a hand. So Jackie and Eunice both want the same thing, don't they? You want to be able to support your family and for things to be pleasant and workable and in order, and she wants the same thing. And now you have the circumstance to work out. Thank you. That was really brave of you to share up here. Yeah. Yeah. So can you see how this can change a relationship? Just raise your hand if you're getting it. You get it? Anyone else want to come up here? That will change your relationship with me. Okay. I want you to tell me some of the ridiculous stories you've been telling yourself. All right? Who's got one? Who's got one? Who's got a good story they've been telling themselves? Come on. Just over here. You need me to come down? You must come up to me.
I'm an outsider.
You're an outsider. Turn around. Come on. Okay, come close. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Just step up to the stage. Now don't turn around. Raise your hand if you tell yourself this story. I'm an outsider. Oh boy. Can you show us on the video camera those hands raised? You sit up here with me if you want. Naomi, will you just hang out with her? Yeah. Who else has a story? Not one of you. Come on. I can come to you. Hang on. Let's meet halfway. I think there's a song like that. One sec. What's your name?
Carolyn.
Carolyn, tell us your stories.
As a child, I had ADD, and my mother, who was a very bright woman, told me forever how stupid I was and how incapable I was, and a shtick ox all the time about about not being able to produce what I needed to do or forget things, and I've grown up with a great inferior abandonment feeling inside me that I'm not worthy, and only lately, from going to see specialized help, do I realize that I'm very capable. I had a business of my own. And I realize now the pain and the hurt that parents give their children, which is unfounded, and the damage that they do for those children in later life.
Thank you. Stay right here for a moment. So I just want to honor all the times that you felt stupid, but were actually a brilliant woman, and honor the accomplishments that you've truly earned.
Thank you so much.
Could you imagine this smart woman was walking around the world feeling stupid? Could you imagine that? I mean, I felt pretty stupid, right? Okay. So I want you to sit with this for a minute and do a little pies conversation in your head. What is the story that you most often tell yourself? I'm an outsider is a big one. It's a big one. I'm stupid, I'm not enough, nobody gets me, I'll never fit in, I'm alone, I'm on my own. What's your go-to story? Think about it. And how does it color your relationships? How does it even color your relationships with your most intimate people? Even with your children? Now, we're going to take this and we're going to move it over a little bit. Are you guys ready? Okay. So somewhere along the way, as I was working pies in my relationships, and I just shared with the women on Shabbos, I had to do this with my husband on the plane when I was getting annoyed that he wasn't getting a pillow from the seat next door. And I was like, can we talk about this? And we worked it down, the crazy story that I was telling myself about him not getting a pillow. He's the best. Special mention, special honor to my husband. I realized, what if we could do pies with the Almighty? What if, when things happen to us, we could say, physical, the facts, I got sick, my whole body aches. Interpretation, I'm all alone. Did you abandon me? Is my work here done? Do you actually expect me to produce when you give me this amount of pain? Emotional, I feel sad, mad, hurt, and afraid. Spiritual, what I really want is to live life alive and well. What if we gave that to God? And what if we sat quietly and heard him answer us? What would he say to us? And I started wondering about that. And so I started working my pies with Hashem, with God, giving him my story and sitting really quietly and listening. What is he saying back? We're here today to transform ourselves, so let's do some of that work right now. Let's take out your pens and paper. And you'll find a sheet that says pies on it with very clear instructions about what to do. Okay, do you see that sheet? Did you get it? Yeah? Only feedback? You do not have a sheet that says that it is a pies sheet? Let me see. Okay, no problem, all is well. Does anyone in the room have a pies sheet? Okay, if you do, great. If you don't, just write it on the back of another paper, no problem. You have the model right up here. I want you to think of a situation in your life and write down your pies. Write it out in detail. Can we have some music, please, so the women can do some writing? And then I want you to sit quietly and listen for the answer. We're not going to do this in a hurry. This is what's called in Hebrew avodas Hashem. This is service of God. This is working it. So work it, ladies. See what you get. These are my favorite moments. Just feel the room. Feel what happens when you sit really still. To listen to the communication that is always available. It's like a channel on a radio. Just turn the channel, say, God, I just want to hear what you have. Like, what do you have to say about this? You turn the channel, and it's right there. Now, nobody here needs to share what they wrote. But if there is one person that wants to share, I want to give you that opportunity because there are a lot of people who want to hear you. Can you say your name?
Mel. Hi, my name's Mel. I'm recently going through a divorce. My daughter's turned her back on me, and it's very painful and sore because I've been her mother and father and left her addictive father and abusive father. So I realized that her pain.
Can you go through the model? That will help us all.
Okay. I said my daughter turned her back on me as I go through my divorce. Sad and hurt. Believe that it is exactly how it's meant to be right now, for reasons that I may not know. And God's turn. My daughter dealing with the pain of both her parents divorced, going through divorce. The devastation, and running and can't deal with it. And my request is that we should come together in acceptance of how we both accept the way that we're both hurting.
That's hard stuff. That's really hard stuff. What did you write for God's spiritual longing for you towards the end of this? Yes. Yeah. No, that's the request. We'll get to that. God's spiritual longing for you in this trying circumstance.
I believe that God has a bigger plan for me, although it's very painful right now. I got out of a very abusive situation after 37 years. And I managed to remove my entire business and home in 3 hours. So that took a tremendous amount of courage.
Amazing. Look at all these women holding this with you.
So I just want to say that I was married to a non-Jewish man, and my neshoma's come home. So I want to just thank you all.
Welcome home. It's good to have you here. So God's spiritual longing for you is to live into the plan that he has for you. It's beautiful. So, at the end of the conversation with my sister, we came to the final part of pies. And this part is optional. Sometimes it's enough to just clear the air. But sometimes, at the end of a conversation, which you can do with yourself or with another, you have the opportunity to make a request. You get to say, okay, well, this is what it's like for me. This is what it's like for you. May I make a request? And the other person will say yes or will say no. When it comes to doing pies with God, we can make a request 100% of the time because our Father is a millionaire. He actually owns the whole planet and every experience in it. So we get to make a request. And when it comes to human beings, we're very, very limited. And sometimes we're in a good mood and in a bad mood, and everyone who we're in relationship with has their stuff. God has his stuff too. And what he wants us to know is that what his stuff is the fact that who he really is never-ending, unconditional, abundant love. And what he did for our benefit is he created this whole maze called nature and cause and effect, where he hides himself. But all of life is actually a game of hide and seek, and what he really wants is for us not only to find him, but to know him in his essence. And so when we make a request of God, we request not of the God that we talk about in Sunday school. The way to make a powerful request of God is to tap into his essence, to find him. He wants to be found. He's yearning for the redemption era when all of the illusions and the curtains will be away and he can finally come out and say, I was here the whole time. We have the opportunity to find him now. And so when we make our requests, we have a very special formula. And this is from the Zohar, that we say, Hashem, I trust in your miraculous salvations and your desire to give me a free gift, not based on my deserving anything. I trust in your love. I trust in your love. And the way that we access that love and access that faith in ourselves is by daring to have a vision of this thing coming true. We are addicted to fear. Our subconscious is addicted to fear. We even think it's righteous to worry. But if we can change our request and change our prayer to remember that who are we doing pies with after all? The one who only wants to give good. My sister who truly loves me. That's the one that I'm asking. And say, not just, please, 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 could you give me everything I want? But to say, I know now that you love me, and so I trust that you will give me what I need. And hold that vision crystal clear with detail in your mind. Hold it and don't let it go. I know this talk that I'm going to give at the Sinai and Dava is going to be a wonderful success. I know it. I feel it. I vision it. I hold it. Not because I deserve it, but because you love me. You want to do it all for me. So take one more minute. We must finish our time here, but I want you to take one more minute and write down your request of God. And I'm asking you, when you speak to God, we don't have time to get into this today. God willing, another time. Don't speak to the kindergarten God. Speak to the all-loving, the one that you can trust, the one that only wants to do good for you. And make that request. And use colorful language, as in colors and detail. Don't be shy to ask for what you need. And if you did your work here today and you've had this conversation with God, then you can say, I am working on my trust. I am working towards building this relationship. And you can stand in the faith that this vision that you have is going to come to you. If you hold it in your heart every day, 10 times a day, don't let it go. I'm trusting you, Hashem. I'm thanking you in advance, and I'm feeling joyful now that you are sending me everything that I need. So I want you guys to put your papers down and to stand up. Okay? And we're finishing up now. We got the finish sign. We got the finish line, so we got to stand up. We're awake, we're alert, we're committed. We're choosing to trust, we're choosing to know God, we're choosing to dare to trust and ask and make a request for the thing that we need. Do you have it in your heart right now? Everyone has it in your heart? Okay. Then I want you to say, with full trust, together with me. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me everything I need. Are we ready? Let's do it together. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me everything I need. Can we do that 3 times? Thank you, Hashem, for giving me everything I need. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me everything I need. You guys ready to dance it out? Yeah, oh yeah. If you don't have joy, you don't have anything. So finish this off with me. You guys ready?
I